Britain, an island nation. We've withstood invasion and foreign influence for centuries, or so we like to think. But look a little closer, and you'll find that those who sailed our ships, fought our battles, and forged our identity weren't always British. But bloody foreigners.
If you go to Trafalgar Square, you go to Nelson's Column, and you look closely, you will see a black sailor.
Allied fighter! Always pirate!
This series tells the story of 4 iconic events from a surprising new angle that will alter the way we view our history.
In the summer of 1940, a desperate battle raged in the skies of England. If Britain lost, Hitler would invade. At the heart of the fight was one remarkable squadron. Brave, rebellious, unconventional. 303 Squadron shot down twice as many Germans and boasted one of the Battle of Britain's greatest aces. The pilots kept a record of their exploits in a unique diary, but it isn't written in English.
Allied fighter! Always pirate!
303 Squadron was made up of Poles who came here to fight for freedom and help change the course of British history.
How in hell do you think you're gonna fight the Germans if you can't even fly the ruddy aeroplane?
My men did not come all this way to sit around learning English.
Using the accounts of the squadron aces and the testimony of the pilots who knew them,
Man, this 12 o'clock!
this is the untold story of the Battle of Britain. Only the English Channel and a few hundred RAF pilots stood between Britain and invasion.
Now Adolf Hitler stood just as Napoleon had stood more than 100 years before.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Welcome back to the channel, guys. It's your girl Vermo, and I'm back with another reaction video. Today we're going to be looking at this video from Ghost Dog 780430, and this is Bloody Foreigners, Untold Battle of Britain, polskie, napisy. I hope I got the pronunciation. If you're new to the channel, I'm Vera. I do reaction videos. This is something that you love. Why not join Vera City? Hit the subscribe button below, turn on the post notification bell so you can always be the first person to know whenever a new video drops. And with that, guys, let's go on.
As Britain prepared to fight to the death, thousands of Polish servicemen came here, the last free country in Europe.
We knew that England would continue fighting, you see, and we could sort of join them.
They had fled their homeland and crossed Europe. Now the Poles had only one desire: to fight the Germans.
Our country was defeated. We wanted it back. The commitment was total.
The Poles were eager to fight. Britain was short of pilots. There was just one problem.
Next.
None of them spoke the language.
The only English words we knew were yes and no. The only problem was knowing which to use.
Jan Zumbach had qualified as a pilot 2 years earlier and already seen action in France.
Have you typhus?
He described the obstacles he and his fellow airmen faced in his memoir.
Have you migraine?
We were continually at cross purposes with the British officials.
Have you TB?
A friend of mine had just about run out of patience when one doctor solemnly inquired,
Have you had VD?
Had VD? Had VD? What's that?
So he took a chance. Answered,
Yes.
And was promptly hauled off for a vigorous massage of the prostate.
Examination, please.
So they couldn't understand what we were saying, and I'm quite certain we couldn't understand what they were saying, because I myself didn't know a word of English.
And that was a great barrier, both socially and, more important, operationally.
But Britain was desperate. On July the 22nd, 303 Polish Squadron was formed at London's RAF Northolt. To overcome the language barrier, its pilots were placed under English-speaking commanders. Captain John Kent, an experienced Canadian pilot, recalled his reaction at having to chaperone the Poles in his autobiography.
It was just about the last straw to find myself posted to a foreign squadron that had not even been formed. I was thoroughly fed up and despondent.
Kent wasn't alone in his view.
Hello, boys!
They didn't think we really have any stomach for fight anymore. That we are a spent force and that we are an embarrassment and a burden.
Out of all the Poles, only 2 of them have any English at all.
Kent's commanding officer was Ronald Kellett. It was his job to turn 303 into a fighting force.
The men are being taught basic operational vocabulary. All I know about the Polish Air Force is that they lasted 3 days against the Luftwaffe. Well, let's hope we can make them shine more brightly operating from England.
Time was running out. Germany's high command wanted to complete the invasion of Britain before the winter set in. In early August, the Luftwaffe intensified its mission to destroy Britain's defences. The Germans had 2,500 aircraft. The RAF just over 600.
Angels!
Angels! Meanwhile, Zumbach and his fellow pilots were confined to the classroom.
Pancake!
Every morning, a bus would take us 10 miles to Uxbridge to learn the basic vocabulary which would be coming over the earphones.
Pancake!
Angels for thousands of feet altitude.
Angels!
Pancake for landing.
Pancake!
Bandits for enemy planes, and so on.
Wow, oh my god. This is so pathetic. Like, wow. The Polars, the Britons, like, why did all of this even happen? And the fact that they didn't even understand English, that was a great barrier, you know. There was no way they could communicate effectively. It's just so sad watching all of this right now. Let's go on.
The angel, it's the height. You see, those in thousands, usually.
Bandits!
Bandits!
After 3 or 4 weeks of very intense classes, my vocabulary was good enough to, say, read a paper, but I couldn't pronounce it.
Wow.
Captain John Kent came up with his very own strategy to vault the language barrier.
Aeroplane. Air-o-plane.
Samolot.
I had to learn some Polish. Samolot. I went round the aircraft giving English names for the various parts and getting the Polish in return. Wing.
Skrzydła.
Should.
Skrzydło.
Gradually, I worked out a complete procedure in Polish and had it all written down phonetically on my knee pad. It worked very well.
Wow.
And amused the Poles a lot.
Kent?
Yes.
No. Kentowski.
Kentowski.
Just one more chance.
Despite Kentowski's efforts, the Poles were increasingly frustrated.
Each night I say a little prayer for.
It was almost a year since they'd fled Poland. But instead of flying fighters, the British commander Kellett had them training on bicycles.
Poles wanted to go to battle straight away, and Kellett didn't want to allow it until they were ready to cope with the radio communications and so forth.
Zumbach was starting to doubt he would ever get back in the war.
Child's play. If the British are wasting so much time with their childish exercises, when all of us have already won ours, how long is it going to take them to train up their young recruits from scratch? And would I eventually get an enemy in my sights before he won the war?
You man, stop that!
We were all very, very eager to get on with flying, but we had to wait, so we were a bit so frustrated.
Listen,
You're here to train for battle with the Germans and not to fool around and argue with each other.
So when exactly will my men start training in hurricanes?
Witold Urbanowicz was a legendary Polish flying instructor, desperate to get his pilots back in action.
I brought my cadets from Poland through Romania, Syria and France.
I don't want people crashing around the sky until they understand what they're being told to do.
My men did not come all this way to sit around learning English.
There's nothing more that we can show the Poles on trainers.
Very well. Have the squadron proceed to operational training on hurricanes.
The Poles of 303 were finally back in the air. But before they could fight the Germans, they had to learn to fly in formation, the British way.
Perhaps the training period was unnecessarily prolonged, and this certainly irked the Pole, but we still had to be quite sure they knew how we operated.
Back home, the Poles had flown planes with fixed undercarriages. In a British fighter, they had to remember to lower the wheels before landing. Not all of them did.
We had several aircraft landed with the undercarriage retracted. One of these was put down by Sergeant František.
Stand to attention, František.
And I tore him off a first-class strip.
Do you have any idea of the damage you've just caused?
He didn't know what I was saying, but he knew he had to answer in a foreign tongue and kept repeating,
Oui, mon commandant.
Amongst some of the things I said to him was,
How in hell do you think you're going to fight the Germans if you can't even fly the ruddy aeroplanes?
Oui, mon commandant.
Go on. Go.
What Kent didn't know was that Joseph František had already shot down 11 German aircraft in France.
Dismissed.
But František would soon show Kent exactly what he was capable of. By mid-August 1940, Britain had lost half its frontline pilots.
The saying was that if you...
Wow. Oh my God. That is crazy. Like, you already shot down some German planes. That means he's a very good asset. Oh my goodness. I love how they're like, you know, acting this whole thing out, and the fact that this actually happened in real life. The Polands have really been through a lot. Let's go on.
You lasted the first week of an operational tour, you're probably quite safe.
The British believed the German invasion was just weeks away. With recruits as young as 18 being killed quicker than they could be trained, the RAF was losing the battle for Britain.
There were chaps who have flown, for example, 15 hours, and they were thrown into the battle. A lot of them didn't come back from their first flights.
Oh my God.
Despite this, the experienced Poles of 303 were still not cleared for action. On the 30th of August, the British commander Ronald Kellett led them on yet another training flight. But this would be a training flight with a difference. As Ludwig Paskiewicz wrote in the squadron diary,
after climbing about 10,000 feet, we flew northward. After a while, I noticed ahead a number of aircraft carrying out various turns.
Green 1! Green 1 to have a new leader! Man, it's 12 o'clock!
Paskiewicz was an experienced pilot, but had not yet engaged the enemy in combat.
Man, it's 12 o'clock!
The training flight had strayed into a battle. A German raid was under attack over St. Albans. The sight of the enemy was too much for Paskiewicz. Without waiting for orders from his British squadron leader, he took matters into his own hands.
I opened up throttle and went in the direction of the enemy. noticed at my own altitude a bomber turning in my direction. When he noticed me, he dived sharply down. I turned over and dived after him. I noticed the black crosses on wings. Then I aimed at the fuselage and opened fire from about 200 yards, later transferring it to the port engine, which I set on fire. I drew very close, and I gave him another burst.
Almost 1 year after the invasion of Poland, Ludwik Paskiewicz claimed 303's first victory against the Germans.
He hit the ground without pulling out of dive and burst into flames. I have fired at enemy aircraft for first time in my life.
Training flights are precisely that. Training flights. That means you don't go gallivanting around the sky shooting up Germans. The safety of your squadron is your first consideration. However, I do feel it is my duty, despite my better judgment, to congratulate Pilot Officer Paskiewicz on making the squadron's first kill.
Sir?
Well done.
Thank you, sir.
Very good. Carry on.
Although he had already been in action in Poland and
Oh my
France,
God, that was
it was
crazy.
Paskiewicz's first kill. He was hugely
I wanna
elated, and so were we.
congratulate you. Well done. Oh my God.
Under the
Wow.
circumstance, sir, I do think that we might call them operational.
That night, Kellett put in a call to Fighter Command.
Thank you, sir.
The Poles were back in the war. 303's first operational day marked a bitter anniversary. It was exactly a year ago that the Germans had invaded Poland.
Naturally, every pilot wanted to share the honor of the first battle. We had to draw lots for the different flights. I was lucky enough to draw the short straw.
We're flying some
Oh my gosh. This video is literally so long. It's about 49 minutes long, so I'm so sorry I wouldn't be able to go through the whole video, but let me know if you want to see a part 2 of the video. Wow, I'm so glad that they actually put out documentaries like this, videos like this, so we can know what happened in the past, you know, have that idea, have that knowledge. I never knew that Poland had to go through all of this, the German waging war against the Poles. Like, it is crazy. And I would say that I am really impressed by the Polish people. Like, they came out and they were like, the 303 pilots that came out, they are so brave, because they were like, okay, I think enough is enough. We have to go out there, we have to train. And the British were training them. So I am also grateful for the British, you know. They trained them, and the man training them, he actually has that knowledge of, okay, these people, they need to understand the English language so that they can communicate, because the British speak English, while the Poland, they do not. And most of them do not understand English. So you have to start with that, okay, learn English, learn some few things. And he was also willing to learn their own language, especially when they went to the airport, where he was teaching them parts of a plane in English. They were also teaching him Poland, the Polish language, and he was open to learn. So that is actually beautiful. But it is sad that this had to happen, you know, wars, battles here and there. It's just crazy. Like, why can't we live together in peace and harmony? And this was like in 1940, 1939, 1940. Wow. It is just crazy. And the Polish people, my heart goes out to them. So sorry that you had to go through this. I hope that things are now much better in Poland. I hope that these battles have officially come to an end. What do you guys think about these videos? Share your thoughts I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoy videos like this, give it a huge thumbs up, and if you're new to the channel, join Veracity. Hit the subscribe button below, turn on the post notification bell so that you can always be the first person to know whenever a new video drops. And that, guys, I'll see you in my next one. Bye, guys.